es la voz de LA. It's like una galaxiana, come and kick it with us. I bring the bossa nova beats and talk the club that we love. Another year to adjust, and Will Kuntz we all trust. 6 titles in the cabin, tell the haters shut up. Mirar al horizonte con el cielo morado. Llegamos al estadio como siempre lo hago. Es la nueva temporada, ya cumplí 30 años. Rezándole a San Pequi que no dé al travesaño. Que repartan los balones y no sean tacaños. Que regrese el contraataque y que le hagamos daño. Un saludo para Robert, hermanos ecuatorianos. Que la táctica de Ananda nunca sean en vano. Si se trata de mi gala me levanto temprano. Ver el fur en verano, en el pasto tumbado. Siempre estoy a tu lado, en cualquier resultado. Vamos Galaxy, on top is where I gotta be. Chilling in the canopy, staging like a winery. Goals during rivalries, brew from the refinery. Only want the finer things, we letting you know. Lo que pasa en la galaxia, ready, let's start the show.
Hello, hola, and buenas. Boy, did that one get me pumped up for today. Shout out Arquitekto Verbal for the new season 3 intro music. Today we are off and running, folks, as the Los Angeles Galaxy got their first victory of the season in a must-win game with a statement 4-1 win over Herediano in the second leg of the round of 16 Champions Cup match on Wednesday, March 12th. On a cold and windy night at the Digs, Coach Greg Vanney sent out another rotated lineup, and the Galaxy youth led the way with energetic performances as LA outworked and overwhelmed Herediano to overcome the first leg defeat and overturn the tie to advance to the quarterfinals against Liga MX team Tigres. After such a dominant performance, we'll talk about what the Galaxy did right to earn the win, who the stand-up performers were, what the emergence of the young players means, and what the match might mean for the Galaxy on the whole. Will it now kickstart their season, and will we see the real LA Galaxy stand up? We'll also take a look at the Galaxy's upcoming away trip to Portland on Sunday as they attempt to follow up on the good Champions Cup performance and success with their first league win of the season. Plus, a few key Galaxy players are back on their way from injury. All that and more on tonight's episode of La Cuna Galaxiana. But really, we are just happy that we have some good stuff to talk about, some good news to talk about. And before we go any further, let me introduce myself. I'm Rob Halon. You can find my written work at the Sporting Tribune and Extra Time Talk, and you can find me online at El Escudero de LA. And my co-host, as usual, all the time, all day, every day, Ananda Kirana, El Gitano Perdido. Hey, Papa, it's not sad for hours anymore.
Yes, sir. Not sad for hours anymore, man. And what a relief, right? I didn't want to have to go on these shows like constantly, week after week, every Monday and Thursday saying, it's sad for hours part 4. It's sad for hours part 5. It's group therapy, 50% off your discount session for the 6th session. Like, I didn't want to have to go to that whole line of thinking. But
you were gonna start doing sub club cards, bro. Dang,
you were
down bad.
I mean, it was getting to that point, right? But I'm just relieved more than anything, man. And that's simply my one-word match reaction, Papa. It's relief, just pure relief. That we didn't have to get in those conversations. We didn't have to second guess ourselves about this team. This team did what it had to do. I said on paper coming into that game, we should be beating a team from Costa Rica, right? Even if we're not in the greatest of form, just on paper, this team was an MLS champion last year. We've got the winning pedigree, right? And yes, half of the players are either not there through injury or departure, but we're expected, we're the Galaxy, we're expected to come in, especially at home, to take care of business. And I'm just glad the boys made us proud, right? They did us proud, and especially shout out to all the fans that went there too. LA Galaxy chants were going off, so I heard that even through the the Fox Sports coverage. So that was nice to see. But yeah, man, just pure relief. Happy that we're through to the next round.
Well, you stole mine, so I'm gonna give something different now. I guess I would have to say encouraged, because something we've talked about on this podcast a lot is the continuity between the academy to VCSC to the first team. And you're seeing that through these players like Tucker Lepely and Isaiah Parente and Harbor Miller, who are usually down with VCFC and now find themselves in a position where they're thrust into the first team to cover for injured bodies, and they're doing it well, and they're doing it knowing the system and knowing the style of play that Greg Vanney wants. So encouraged, and yeah, very like you said, relieved that the Galaxy took care of business and they got through to the next round.
Like Anthony said, finally, right? We put it in the thumb. What's that song back in the day, Rob? Finally, it has happened to me. Finally, we got to win, right? So
that's a banger, by the way. Yeah, good
taking
stuff.
Taking it way back, and shout out homie Marvin G says the Young Bucks stepped up and show they want to be there and compete for a chance to play. This is what we're talking about, guys. Right? The young guys. We will get into that conversation for sure. I think that's been probably the most positive thing that has come out early doors this season, man, and that's a good thing to have. We'll talk about these young bucks for sure a little bit later.
Yeah, rumble, young man, rumble. And y'all keep rumbling. Y'all keep doing your thing as usual in chat. You guys always do. Thank you guys for helping us get to those 500 subs. And I mean, we hit it, we smashed it, and now we're on the march to 600. Keep on telling your folk about this, man, about this humble little pod. And it's there's only one way to go now from here. The Galaxy got to win, and so we're on the way up now. So go ahead and keep telling your tío, your tía, elotero,
your way up.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's 2 music references now. Man,
catch up. You didn't even put a scoreboard up now. You put a scoreboard up. Music references.
Yeah, you do. But yeah, no, like I said, thanks to all you guys and everybody that supports this podcast. We have super chats now available. Go ahead and try to be lucky number 6, signifying the LA Galaxy's 6 championships. Thank you to everybody that's out there supporting. You keep us stocked up with the horchata, even though tonight it's horchata espresso. But kind of a variation on horchata. But yeah, thanks so much for all you guys do, and let's take it away. Oh, last one. I know that y'all need to be put on to episode 5 of Los Galácticos. Profe Alex Ruiz and our own Gitano Perdido worked very, very hard on this one. The midfield and what is going on there, and you'll actually get some good context about the midfield yesterday by watching this video here, and so check this one out. This one is there in the archives, and show Ananda and Profe Alex Ruiz some love. And speaking of showing some love, show the Podfather some love, Josh Gessman as well. He belongs to a train club. You guys know that the Podfather loves the trains. Every time I see a train now, I think of him. So he belongs to the OCME. They're celebrating 40 years. This is a nonprofit, and they are doing a campaign, 40K for 40 years. And so do what you can to go ahead and keep their tracks, engines, and cars running while providing free train rides and events for the community. And yeah, since we're on the subjects of communities, the LA Galaxy is blessing the community here because on 3/29 they are having an equipment sale. This is going to be located at Soccer Fest at 5:30 for season ticket members and at 6 p.m. for general admission. All proceeds to this go to the LA Galaxy Foundation. So just like you guys helping out the Podfather, if you guys go ahead and get yourself a little something at the LA Galaxy equipment sale, this is also going to a nonprofit, and you guys can go ahead and get those tax write-offs, right? Ananda, I've gone ham, absolutely nutty at the equipment sale before. I can highly recommend it. You find some like absolute finds there, man, steals. I remember I saw somebody come up on the Zlatan training top, like
I remember that
worn by Zlatan, man. Like that's absolutely, like I have just incredible finds, like a couple things that I wear like very, very frequently, man, that I've gotten at equipment sales. So definitely get out there, guys. If you guys can make it, you guys will get absolute fire there.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say, speaking of equipment, I feel like I may have seen it in the Corner Galaxy Discord or online. I can't remember where, but the Adidas outlet in Orange, Rob, has a couple of
Ooh.
LA Galaxy training jackets that are 50% off. So
Mm.
all you guys, all you OC guys, or maybe it's in the other outlets too. Go ahead and check that out because I have seen some Galaxy gear floating around there in the Adidas outlets. So check it out, guys.
Ananda putting y'all on game. Well, yeah, let's get into this. Some quick news hits before this match, this Champions Cup match. The Galaxy announced that they had re-signed Sean Karani to a short-term contract and also signed Tommy Musto to the same type of deal. This is, of course, the Galaxy are shorthanded here with bodies and personnel. So these players from VCFC, much like the others that we've already mentioned, are making up some of the first team ranks right now. We mentioned Karani, the 24-year-old. Last time he had 6 goals and 2 assists in 31 matches played for VCFC last year, and Musto tallied 3 assists in 29 appearances over the past 2 seasons with LAFC 2. And Musto's 21. Neither of them saw action in this match, but they were on the bench. So that's the second time Karani got signed to that short term right there. But yeah, man, let's get into it. I mean, I've been every week that there's been a loss, I've been kind of like putting off going into the match, and now there's actually wins. So,
pero una cosa, papá. Antes de seguirnos. Como siempre, antes de olvidarme, because we're 11 minutes y me he olvidado. Buenos días, tardes o noches y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana. Hey, our first, well, it's funny because GCam sent me a message that after the match last night. And he said, hey, no more sad foo hours, elated fool hours. So our first elated foo hours of the new season.
Elote foo hours? Is that what you said?
Elated fool's hours. Elote, well, are you hungry? Are you still hungry? You ate your dinner?
Nah, I didn't have that dinner tonight, but it's okay because I'm feasting on this LA Galaxy good feeling right now. So, and hanging out with all y'all. So, but yeah, I mean, if you guys didn't catch the match and you guys are just getting caught up on what happened, the Galaxy went out there and smashed it. They advanced to the quarterfinal round now with a resounding, dominant 4-1 win, 4-2 on aggregate in the second leg of the round of 16 in the Champions Cup at home in front of just over 9,000 fans. It was a cold and windy night for sure. I mean, I was in the press box and I was still very cold and I still had a jacket on. And so, it was supposed to rain. Not a lot of people there, about 9,000, but they missed a good one. Julian Aude opened the scoring by scoring from a first-time shot on a pass from Isaiah Parente, and then Parente turns provider again as he volleyed a Tucker Lepoli cross into Miguel Berry's path for Miguel to score the 2-0 and his first goal of the year. Then the Galaxy took control of the tie in the second half when Harbor Miller got to the end line and served up a driven cross to Gabriel Peck for Peck to go ahead and slam this one at home. And then the subs, Emilio Garces and Cristian Ramirez, would put the exclamation point on the evening with the fourth Galaxy goal. And that was pretty much all she wrote. The Galaxy will now square off against Tigres in the quarterfinal round of the Champions Cup. I believe the first leg there is on April 1st. So a couple of notables here in this match. Julian Aude recorded his first goal of the year, and he won player of the match for his performance in this one. There was one really, really great move, man, where he faked like he was going to pass off to the left wing and then just drove it into the heart of the Herediano midfield, and they had no idea what to do with it. Unfortunately, it doesn't end in even a chance. They weren't on the same wavelength right there at the very end, but he was fantastic. I mean, he was very progressive with the ball, and when we speak a little bit more about this in depth, we'll say how this is actually a good thing. I mean, Maya spoke about it the other day. I mean, these players are pushing each other. Everybody wants to get that job, get that starting job, right? So Julian Aude definitely did his job in trying to force Greg Vanney's hand. I mentioned Miguel Berry. He scored his first goal of the campaign. He notched his 4th career goal with the Galaxy in 40 matches. Gabriel Peck scored his 2nd of the season, and Harbor Miller recorded his first career assist in all competitions. He played 69 minutes in the match, and he is now the youngest player to record a goal contribution in the Champions for an MLS team since Alphonso Davies. So he's in really, really good company there. We're gonna get into it later, man. But Ananda, how good is this kid, man?
Yeah, he's been impressive. He's been super impressive. I think this allows Greg to have another chess piece, right? In his, again, I talked about depth last time, but let's save that conversation for later. But he is definitely going to make Greg think about his selections. That's a good problem to have. That's what you want.
Yeah. Isaiah Parente, another one that we're going to talk about in a little bit. He had 2 assists, the first of his Galaxy career. Just generally impressed with him. And then Christian Ramirez broke his duck, man. He got off the mark, and he scored his first goal for the Galaxy. And he was super happy about it. He spoke about it afterwards and said that he never would have imagined that he would be playing for his hometown club and scoring goals for them. And you could just see the relief, see the happiness on his face, the way he wheeled around. And then not only that, but I mean, it was a great substitution by Greg Vanney. He got it right here with Emilio Garces, feeding Cristian Ramirez. And then Eric Zavaleta made his debut in this one as well. There was a lot of good offensive play, Ananda. Which one of these goals was your favorite?
Oh, man. They all were really nice.
You can't cop out here, man. Come on. You got to give me one. There's 4 of them. Pick one.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Well, I guess the nicest, I'll say the 3rd. And only because did you see that no look that Gabby pulled? Just like a little, I didn't even catch it until I saw the highlight. And then I was like, God, I mean, he put some sauce on that, like perfectly weighted pass. And then again, perfectly weighted pass by Harbor Miller, right? On that right side. And that was just a sweeping move. Or wait, sorry, so I'm thinking of the 4th goal then, because that was Gabby to Emmy, and then Emmy to, which was the one with the no-look pass? Was that the 3rd or the 4th? Now I might be mixing it up.
No, the third goal was Harbor Miller to Gabriel Peck, and the 4th goal was Emilio Garces to Christian Ramirez.
But I want to say Gabby did the no-look pass to Emmy. I could be wrong about that.
On the 4th one?
On the 4th one. Or was it the 3rd one? And then he ran back in. I can't honestly, I can't remember. Whatever the one with the no-look pass was, because that was sauce, man. But they were all nice. Like I said, they all. I will say the most important was probably the first one, but I think the nicest one was just that Gabby Pack no look, man. Just that was sauce. That was last year's Galaxy, right? Like second half of last year. That was like Showtime Galaxy for sure.
I disagree though. The most important for me was the second one, Miguel Berries, because the first one ties the match, right? But the second one, it just kind of sets the tone for the rest of the game now. Like, okay, now we have control of this. Let's go ahead and put this out of reach. The first one gave him belief, and the second one just took it away from there.
Yeah, I just don't think the second one happens without the first. We were knocking on the door, and I even tweeted about it. I said, we need that goal early. We need a goal now, because if it's like this and we're knocking on the door and we're still scoreless after 60 minutes, watch out, nervous time, right? So that first one, just to blow the doors open. After that, it was. I think we saw the reaction or the lack thereof from Herediano. They just didn't have the quality to keep up with us.
Yeah, the Galaxy did a lot of things really well that took that belief out of them, namely keeping the ball and not giving them a lot of chances. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's start at the beginning. Let's look at this lineup here. What'd you think?
Let me pull this guy up. So yeah, and this is per so shout out Galaxy Comms again for always sending this to us, and this was per CONCACAF's I guess stat an analytics team. They had us as a 4-4-2, Robert. I think it's interesting because Greg probably set us up in a 4-2-3-1, kind of like how he's been setting us up recently. You could talk about some of the selections. I will talk about just the important ones. I think obviously we saw Berry, we saw Lepli. I think Lepli was an interesting one. interesting selection. Julian Aude came back in there for John Nelson, John McCarthy between the sticks, right? And I mean, you look at that trio, Rob, of J-Mac, Yoshida, and Jorgensen. That's a lot of experience. I actually don't mind that in certain matches, again, especially if we have to manage workloads and travel loads and all that stuff, right? Especially early on in the season. I kind of dig that. And it looked pretty good in this game. Again, Herediano didn't have too much to offer other than the one goal. But really, like, the way this played out, I thought it was interesting, man, because you look at this and, you know, like I said, the statisticians had it as a 4-4-2, but it was really flexible. It was a really, really flexible formation. And people the players got into the right spots where they're at, wherever there was space to be occupied, right? So you had little triangles working on the left-hand side between Lepli, Aude, Fagundes. You had triangles on the right-hand side between Parente, Gabi, Harbor Miller. And then, of course, I always talk about, like, the number 9 in Greg's system is always that tip of the spear, right? Always sort of dropping deep, offering himself to, in this case, Miguel Berry, to knit the play together, get these 1-2s off, and then dart in the middle of the box, right? And sort of occupy that tip of the spear space. So I think the selection, Greg did a good job of managing the team. I'm going to give him a lot of credit for that, Rob. We've had a lot of fixtures, 4 fixtures already in March. We've got another 5 or 6 fixtures for the rest of the month. And that's a crazy month, man. Like 4 or 5 fixtures, I think. Just a super congested month. And I do want to shout out Greg for managing the squad, but also I want to praise just how tactically flexible these guys are. And like we talked about, the young kids just understanding their roles and knowing where to be and knowing where to find space.
Is it that many left? I thought it was Portland on the weekend, and then Minnesota, and then Orlando. So 3, yeah? You're on mute. We're so professional on this pod, guys.
1 second. Can you guys hear me? I'm plugged.
We're good
my
now.
Battery went. Hold on. Go ahead and take it, man.
Okay. Well, no, I'm pretty sure that it was it's 3 fixtures for the rest of the month. Like I mentioned, Portland this weekend, then it's Minnesota, I want to say, and then Orlando City on the 29th, which is coincidentally Churro night. But yeah, going back to the lineup here, guys, it's interesting that, you know, when this lineup was released, Marco Reus wasn't in the lineup or even on the bench. We did get some clarity from Greg. There's no injury there. They're just managing his time, and he had played a bunch of minutes over the past couple of games. So that's why Marco Reus wasn't on even the bench there. So the one that kind of stuck out for me is the Tucker Lepli selection. I mean, I had been kind of calling for him a couple times, but I didn't think that we'd actually see him go ahead and go out from the outset. So that one was interesting. Are you back?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, just my
technology, y'all.
Headphones went out. I may need to charge the battery on this headset. But anyways, so you're talking about Tucker selection. I like that selection quite a bit. Shout out Lepli, by the way.
We do have shout out to Big out there. Good on him. We do have a super chat from XPH. The first one of the night. Buenas noches, Rob and Ananda. 2 things. Galaxy is back. Of course, overreacting. And Rob, in the videos of press conferences this season, Maya has looked less engaging than last year. Do you get that impression as a reporter? Well, he pretty much, told one of our colleagues that he wasn't really down to do all the extraneous meetings and signings and all that kind of stuff this year. So there is that. But no, I mean, Maya's always a gentleman whenever he's with us. I mean, in fact, sometimes we joke with him that we see him most often when there's some kind of setback or a loss, because he's the one who always comes out and gives face and takes responsibility for the team as captain. You know, you should, but then he actually goes out there and does it. So no, I don't get that. At least not with us. Maybe he's just not like out really at events and stuff like that. But no, I'm gonna go ahead and say that Maya's the same class act that he's always been. And whoa. Speaking of class acts, before we go any further, there was I don't know if you saw this, but there was a G out there in the community. I believe her name was Leslie, and
Oh yeah,
and excuse me,
saw that.
It looked like she was going through some trouble, like some financial trouble, so she was gonna raffle off a signed Dayon jersey. And not only did the community start doing their thing as usual and start donating to her cause, but Dayon was basically like, nah, go ahead and keep that, we're gonna hook you up. So Dayon, class act as usual, and the Galaxy community doing their things as usual. And Leslie, I hope that whatever the is ailing you, I believe it was like a medical thing. I hope everything it's taken care of. Maybe Ann says, I liked Rob's video last night for the post-game presser. Vanney gave props to the midfield, but also highlighted when someone needs to step up. Yeah, I mean, you saw it last game. I mean, he called out Christian Ramirez for not really giving the team what he needed to give the team, being at the places that he needed to be, right? So I think the accountability is there. We'll also talk about in a little bit about Tucker and how to, kind of what I liked about him, and what he did to keep his teammates accountable.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Really
Ananda.
quick, I was gonna say really quick. Just shout out to Ant and everyone checking out those post game pressers, man. We're really trying to hope you guys enjoy those, and we'll try to definitely for home games. Rob is going to try to get the latest scoop from the post game. So glad you guys are enjoying that content, man, for sure. And thanks for the feedback.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I Anand and I did a couple of test shots or test videos with this at the CVI, and some of them didn't really work out too well, and some of them did. So it's kind of fun that we're able to bring you guys this, that content, like that instant content from the press conferences, and you guys get to react with us. So, Nana, this lineup that Greg puts out obviously rotated through injury and just like we saw with Marco Royce workload, but it ended up being the best looking Galaxy lineup all year. What had them looking so baller last night, man?
I think Greg is, from my perspective, I think Greg is starting to figure out, Rob, what the right combinations are for this team and what he wants his team to do, right? I think, and I think this is a natural progression. When you lose that many key players to injuries, 2 DPs, when you lose that many key players that were bona fide starters for an MLS Cup winning team, you're going to go through some growing pains, right? In terms of finding the right combinations, seeing what skill sets match together well. And remember, Rob, Sanabria and Winder came in, just right before the CVI. So they haven't really had much time to bed in, right? A couple weeks of preseason training and off to the CVI. I can't remember the timeline, but it wasn't a lot of time, right? So I think what made them look so good is just, I think Greg is starting to find the right chess pieces. And we talked about it. Luckily, these young guys understand the system. And this is, again, credit to all the work that Greg has been doing with the academy and basically the foundations of this team, right from the academy level all the way to the first team. And you're starting to see the fruits of that. And I think the combination of that continuity, along with the familiarity of the players that he's bringing in, along with these new players now are complementing the skill sets of what we have already on the pitch. I think that's making for a good recipe. And I think Greg is slowly starting to figure that out. He now has a five game data set to pull from, Rob. And I think this is a good omen, at least for the beginning parts of the season, of this young season, especially as we try to get points in the league, right?
Yeah, no, definitely, and it's a valid point that you make, because we spoke a lot about the Galaxy, and from the very first match, Greg said that they looked disjointed and disconnected, and I'm going to keep harping on that, because up to this point there was signs of that connection, but they hadn't really had such a game where we like you mentioned those partnerships, those combinations, right? And there was a couple of different combinations happening on the pitch, and it was interesting that at halftime, or was it at halftime, or was it when one of the Herediano players got injured in the box? I think it was when the injury happened. There was like 3 or 4 clusters of Galaxy players, like 2 or 3 to each cluster, and it, I made a note of it. Then I was like, oh, that's interesting, because Diego was talking with Tucker, and the defense.
Oh, I
was
think I
talking,
remember that. Yeah.
and it just so happens that these were like the dominant partnerships. I mean, you mentioned that Gabby Peck was combining with Miller and Parente, and then on the other side you had Aude, Tucker, and Julian Aude. I mean, sorry, wait,
Diego.
Diego,
Yeah.
Diego, Tucker, and Julian Aude. So those partnerships and those combinations made the difference, and you're starting to see that understanding. No longer will they be disconnected. Now they will be connected, or hopefully, right? But we have Studio that says Vanney said as much in the post game chat. The Lepleys and Millers are not new players. We just haven't seen them much. And
Yeah, that's right.
Studio, you're right. I mean, we spoke about it. The academy, the second team, VCFC, and the Galaxy are should all be playing in the same way. So these players have that philosophy, have that system, or have the tactical know-how. They've already been trained in this. Whereas we've seen that the players that have struggled a little bit, like Winder and Sanabria and even Christian Ramirez, they just got here. I mean, we've spoken about, or a lot of people have been very vocal about their dislike of Christian Ramirez, but that man's only been here for like 30 days, and he's trying to move his family. And Elijah Winder's like 21, and his family's not here. He's trying to adapt to a new city. Nascimento just got here; he hasn't even played yet. So it's all these things that real life stuff that affects a player's performance. So we saw it with a couple years ago with Diego, and he spoke at length about it, about how he wasn't settled and it was affecting his performance. So you're seeing the players that have been here and know the system, obviously perform a little bit better because they know that system and they're comfortable. Whereas these players that have been here for 30 days, Sanabria has, another one of those, been here for 30 days, aren't having the most success. But as they bed in, and as they start to contribute, or not contribute, but as they start to develop their own partnerships on the field, you're going to start to see them have success as well. That's what one of the highlights of Greg's system is that once you know your job, and once your teammates know where you should be, and once you know where you're going to be for your teammates, you should be able to have success, right?
Yeah. And this is another feather in the cap, man, for Greg. We saw him do the same thing in Toronto, right? He built a very, very established, recognized, and very well-functioning academy in Toronto. So Greg has a track record of this. And again, I think it's a feather in the cap to all the work that's been done from the academy level all the way up. And this is, man, Rob, what a great luxury to have, rather than having to clear out GAM or trying to figure out a big name signing from Europe or South American League, and just, bring players within your system, a la Jalen Neal, a la even Efrain, right? I mean, we've had so many, Julian, God, what's his, El Araujo, right? So, I mean, you've seen a track record of this, and these are players that fans gravitate to, Rob. Hometown, whether it's hometown kids or whether it's kids that we have brought up through the academy, they're always going to strike a chord. They're always going to have a special place in Galaxy fans' hearts, and this is what we want to see, right, as fans. So I think this is good, positive news all around, I think, for the team, for the fans, and for the coaching staff. And like I said, Greg now has selection headaches, but that's a great headache to have.
Yeah, definitely selection headaches. And Miller is so fascinating, man, because he's 17 and he talks to us like a seasoned professional, like a seasoned veteran. He's not shy about anything. It's really, really gratifying to see that he's so open and just exuberant about football. I mean, it's wonderful. But I was marveling about how his story is like the typical Hollywood story, man. I mean, like the hometown kid who joined the academy and always wanted to play for the first team, and now he's doing it. I
Well,
mean,
like Jalen, right? And that's why he's such a crowd favorite on top
yeah.
of all the community work he did.
Well, no, this crowd when Miller was withdrawn really gave him an ovation, and there wasn't a lot of people there. Ananda, there was a little more than 9,000, but
Yeah.
it was almost like shout out to the crowd that was there. Y'all some real ones.
Shout out.
But it was almost the sense of defiance from them because they knew that there was only, well, I'm sure they didn't know the amount of people, but they knew there was a lot of empty seats. And so they made it a point to, shout a little bit harder, cheer a little bit more. When, like I said, when Miller was withdrawn, they gave him a really nice ovation. The cross field chant from
It was loud. I heard it through the telecast. It was loud.
Yeah, from V Block to 138 was loud. Like I said, they cheered like, hey, there's only 9,000 of us here, but we're gonna make ourselves heard, and they did. And like the Galaxy all last year talked about how that 12th man, or how the support of the fans was what was keeping them in these games, and those 9,000 definitely put themselves out there, and that 12th man came through again, and the Galaxy win this one in pretty dominating fashion. This is now the 9th time that they qualify for the quarterfinal round in the Champions Cup play, and this tie against Tigres will be the 2nd time that Tigres and Galaxy face off. The Galaxy lost the last one 3-0 in the World Series of Football way back in 2007. So it's been a while. And I'm sorry, the World Series of Football isn't as consequential as a quarterfinal tie in the Champions Cup. I mean, this one va a ser un partidazo.
Absolutely.
There should be a lot of Tigres fans at the digs. So Galaxy fans, go out there and do your thing.
Oh,
and
we need
represent real
JP.
hard.
We need JP back for these games, man. Oh, that would. Anyways, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
I mean, I saw in a video that he was in training the other day.
Right.
So I'm not sure how much he's actually doing or how ready or how close he is, but he was back in training.
Yeah, maybe you guys will get a timetable tomorrow at the at media availability.
Yeah, no, that'd be wonderful if we can find out about Joseph's timetable. Sweet guy, man. Like I was there at the elevator, going down to the press conference, and all the Galaxy, basically the injured list walks by, and Joseph gave me a nice hello. I mean, he's basically like, oh, there's a guy that always pesters me about releasing new music, and guys, like literally every time I see Joseph, I'm like, hey Joseph, what's up with that new track, man? Come on, release something. And if you guys didn't know, he did. Joseph has a new song out there, so go ahead and support that. But anyway, man, I mean, this is the kind of performance that we've been waiting for all year from the Galaxy. This is the kind of performance that we thought they were going to put up against San Diego. It didn't happen. And in each subsequent game, it's gotten a little bit better, but this one was a big step forward here. What did you see in the stats that kind of support this jump?
Yeah, I'll just run it down, but I'll give you the important stuff, which is so first of all, 15 shots for the Galaxy to Herediano's 10, 5 of ours on target to Herediano's 3. This is the big one, man. 2.84 expected goals to Herediano's 0.75. I mean, that's a welcome sight, because those were the type of high quality chances that the Galaxy were creating last year. We've had a lot of, I think, probably more half chances, a couple of big chances here and there. I'll get to the big chances stat here in a second, but not nearly at the volume as we saw in this game. Again, we established our passing dominance, Rob, 66% possession to Herediano's 34, and pass accuracy 90% with double the amount of passes. This is very typical LA Galaxy, liking to control. Well, you talked about, it's funny because we sometimes talk about the burden of possession, but in this case, the possession actually created high quality chances, which we see in the XG, right? And on top of that, I'll give you another couple stats here that I thought were interesting. Rob, LA had 4 big chances. We only missed 1, so we converted on our big chances when we got them. Herediano, in the meantime, only had 2 big chances, and they missed their 1. I think the header in the box was probably the only, well, since it was pretty close in proximity, consider that as a big chance. Here's the other stat that I really like.
Their big chance was a big miss. I mean, I don't know if
that's
you remember
true. Yeah, that was the miss. That was, so they had 2 big chances. That was their miss. Definitely point blank miss. That should have been a goal. That should have been.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was in the press box, and behind me was all the Costa Rican press. Like, they had a quite a sizable contingent of press that came out for this match, and when that happens, they that's the moment they knew, like, okay, this one is there's like absolutely no way back. Like, there's always that little glimmer of hope because it's sport. That's when they threw in the towel and they were like, nah, this is not going to happen.
Well, and the other telltale sign of this too, Rob, and I always pulled up the stat, and I think this is someone said in the chat, this is more like 2024-esque stats. I think Ant said it, which is the Galaxy in this match, Robert, 449 passes in the opposition half, so in Herediano's half, versus Herediano, 129 passes only in our half. So this is very typical what we saw of the Galaxy last year, dominating games with possession. And this is what leads us to say, hey, at least temporarily for this game, the Galaxy offense is back, right? We are starting to see now through the stats our dominance of possession between the percentages and the tilt of play. We're seeing now we're controlling the possession in the opposition half. We're starting to break teams down now, Robert, and actually convert, not only have big chances, but start converting them. And those are all very, very positive signs from the stat sheet. Now, again, you could say that finishing, a lot of that has to do with confidence. But the other thing is, too, you got to keep knocking on the door. And we didn't see that for the first, 3.5 games. And when the kids started coming in, Harbor Miller, Isaiah Parente, 20-minute cameo in Costa Rica, we started to see some of that come back, right? And so I'm hoping now this is sort of a watershed moment for the trend to go in the way that we've seen it gone last year, which is,
do it?
Being a dominant offensive team.
It's me says the start the party, or he says late to the party, but sad for hours is canceled. Yeah, definitely.
Shout out 3K.
It's very nice to not have sad 4 hours, and it's it's just one win, so we can't get carried away, but it's an encouraging performance. And if this is the way the Galaxy are going to play, then yes, the offense does have a chance to put up maybe not as good of stats as last year, but some really good stuff. I mean, they definitely looked more fluid. We've already spoken about the partnerships and those good combinations that were happening all across the field, and more importantly, the understanding and these partnerships were allowing the ball to flow quickly and effectively, right? People were in the right positions and they knew where they needed to be, and so in the first couple of games, this ball was moving very slow. It was moving to the side a lot and back a lot. In this match, there was a lot of forward progression, and it was because people were doing their job and being where they needed to be. But despite that, they were showing this willingness to go ahead and fill the space where their teammates were. If their teammates were advancing, they were filling the space, and people were kind of helping each other out and being adaptable. An example, this is Gabriel Peck coming in centrally on a couple of occasions and not being so much of a winger, but as a playmaker and drawing defensives to him. You saw that a couple of different times in this match. Ananda, you've already spoken about the burden of possession, right? And it's one of those things where normally the Galaxy has a ton of possession, and I worry because if they get it nicked in the back half of the field, it's an easy opportunity for the team. But in this one, I felt pretty comfortable with what they were doing, and it was because they were keeping the ball well and not allowing Herediano to make their own chances, right? So as the more they kept the ball and the more they grew into the game, and then they got their goals, their confidence grew and their execution got even better, right?
Yeah,
So
you know what it is too, Rob. Greg always uses the term they make it more predictable for each other. So the movements are predictable, the patterns are predictable. They know sort of the spaces that the other guy's going to run into, right? And again, this has a lot to do with maybe just even in training, right? Tucker, Isaiah, Harbor. I mean, they've trained with these guys before, even all of last year. So it's that continuity, and I think breeds that predictability.
we have Santi in chat. Welcome, Santi. Hola. We need wingers and better defenders. We should go for Joan Arias and some defenders from Argentina and Brazil. Maybe even another striker like Miguel Bajar from River. And then maybe Ensa Santi, we have no money. Very
Yeah,
right. Very right.
absolutely.
There's no money, no gam at all. Maybe I don't know if there's any other kind of assets or money that the Galaxy have to play with, but as far as I know, if there's going to be improvements, it's going to come from within, right? And I
Yeah.
think that, to Ananda's point, I think they have the players to actually go ahead and get better. What'd you think of Zonka's performance, man?
I thought he was solid. I think he looked like he was comfortable on his feet. He makes good decisions with the ball, right? I probably need to watch it back just to see like how he communicated with his players. But look, if I don't notice you, I guess as a defender, that's usually a good sign, right? That means that you're keeping things under control. You're not emergency defending, which is always kind of like, for me, like a sign of maybe not, you're not a great positional defender. But he didn't have to do a lot of emergency defending. Granted, Herediano didn't offer much other than that header. So yeah, I thought he was solid.
Greg had some special praise for Zonka. He praised his ability to get forward. Said that as opposed to Garces, who he also gave some love to a little bit later, says that Zonka gets a little bit more forward and advance and kind of forces that low block to wonder what's going to happen, if he's going to, be able to make that pass through the lines or spread it out to the wings. Whereas Garces kind of stays back a little bit more and doesn't get forward. But boy, did Emilio Garces get forward in this one, because he was playing more as like a right wing back. What would you call that, Ananda? A right back or right wing back?
That's all right back. Yeah.
Yeah, Garces did wonderful. I mean, he used his big speed here to create a couple chances. Should have had 2 assists as well. He ended up with 1, but this speed, or this different look from Greg Vanney putting Garces out on the wing, that's another interesting kind of idea for him to play with, right? I mean, if you do go with that experienced center back pairing of Zonka and Maya Yoshida, right? You have that option of Emilio Garces on the right. You have Harbor Miller on the right. Cuevas is going to be out for a while, but Mickey Yamane is on his way back. Greg's already said that he's wondering how best to use Mickey because he's very versatile. But yeah, I mean, both these players, Zonka and Garces, who Zonka, started, had a great game. Garces had a great cameo. So congratulations to Garces for his new look there on the right back position, man. The offensive threat here. But really, we've talked about it already a couple times. I mean, the young guns led the way, right, Ananda?
Yeah, man, it's these 3 guys here, and like I said, I'm just happy for all these guys. I think they're really getting their chance. This is super positive, man. It allows Greg to, like I said, he now has depth in these positions. He has guys that he can count on to do a job. And I want to address this. I started this because I thought this was an interesting comment, Rob. Pottermus said, Ramirez has been here a short time, but what's Royce's excuse? And I think this is interesting about Marco Royce, right? But I think what's nice about this is my theory on this is I'm not sure you can play Diego and Marco together, because their tendencies and their abilities and They're, like I said, they're very similar. They like to operate in the middle spaces, right? They like to cut in on their right, sort of occupy that middle space, play link ups, play cute 1-2s. But when you do that, you need someone to go past the ball. You need to go someone past the line, which is why Julian Aude, Tucker Lepley made some really, really, really good runs in the corner. Not to say that Diego and Marco aren't willing to do that, but Marco with his age and Diego, that's just not his play style. He doesn't stretch the back four like a JP does, and this is why JP was a huge miss. But if you've got guys like a Tucker Lepley, Julian Aude, whoever it is that's running past the line and are willing runners to go in the channels and run. See, so that's why I think that if you play Marco and Diego, I think you've got to play a channel runner next to them, because I think it's just going to be too stagnant on that left-hand side, right? So I don't think so. Going back to Pottermiss's question or his comment, I don't think it's just a matter of he's been bad necessarily. I think it's, again, the skill sets and how they match together and what is the best combination to do what Greg wants
partnerships.
To do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think Greg has found the right.
I think he's starting to, though. Yeah.
No, but specifically for Royce, like
right.
who are the players around Royce that can bring out the best of his skill set while still keeping the balance that he wants in the team, right? Or is it that his best 11 doesn't include Marco Royce? Who knows? I mean, that's also a possibility. There's on a lot of occasions last year, he certainly wasn't in the starting lineup. So it could be that this young midfield is the future, the way to go, because Greg enjoys that energy and that dynamism. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, each of these players was very active, very involved. Each of them was involved in a goal. There was good link-up play from all of them. They all knew their jobs well. Isaiah, man. Isaiah just very, very, you said last time, neat and tidy. I mean, that's an understatement. I mean, I think he made like one mistake all night where he gave the ball up. The calm under pressure is impressive, and Greg noted that his execution on the night was the key to the Galaxy's success, and he singled him out out of a lot of people that he spoke about on that had good performances for the Galaxy. He showed a lot of love to Isaiah. I believe one of the comments in the press conference was that he was glazing Isaiah, which is apparently something the kids say now, Ananda. But I mean, to go ahead and get a firsthand look, here's a clip with Greg Vanney and his thoughts on Isaiah's performance.
Yeah, it's saying Isaiah did a nice job. I think just connecting again with Edwin. The two of them went to be together in certain situations when he could get a little bit wider and help Harbor to get higher in good spots. Again, his ability to get facing forward. At times he was able to move forward in the next line, which is something we talked about with him. So again, I thought his decisions over the course of the game were really good. The execution in his moments were really good. He was competing defensively. I mean, just an all-around really sound game. I think the most important thing about it is just, over the first few games, we've been looking for the right connection with Eddie, who is going to help us to really kind of help establish the rhythm in the game for us, the control in zones 1 and 2 in the first phase of our possessions. And Isaiah has done a really nice job in the last 2 games of showing that, that those two can be a nice partnership.
Yeah, it's really hard to single out one of these 3 young cats to see who had like the best game. But I mean, Tucker, I was watching him especially. I mean, we both have a lot of love for Big Erm out there, and yeah, man. I mean, Tucker did his thing. I mean, his intensity was great. He harassed LS Aguilar into a bunch of mistakes. Aguilar could not basically find his game because Tucker was all over him. And then like we've already mentioned that he combined well with Diego and Julian. And Harbor Miller, man, I mean, it's going to be wonderful to see his progression. Hopefully, he gets to become that Galaxy homegrown favorite. My only thing for Miller is that we did see him get that assist for the Galaxy's third goal, but he, in this game and in the last game, there was a couple opportunities for him to get a cross in and get a good ball in, and I think he knows that he should have done better. I think he even called himself on one of those. But yeah, that final ball, once he gets it more consistent, he's going to be a real problem for
like Araujo, man, just a killer final ball, killer delivery from the right, low cross, high cross. Yeah, that's going to be a huge asset. That's a huge asset.
Yeah, exactly. Once he gets a killer delivery in, just down and gets executing with that one, like more often than not, it's going to be a real big problem for opposing defenses. It was close to a perfect night for the Galaxy, and a former Galaxy player, Daniel Aguirre, says them young bulls in LA balling. Yes, they were. They did their thing for damn sure. And I think the only drawback on the night for the Galaxy and those young bulls was that they conceded that one goal. I mean, it would have been great to get that shutout, and not only that, but the goal was a set piece goal, which I'm just gonna shake my head on that. What can you even say about the set piece thing now, man?
Yeah, just move on to the next one. Just defend the next one. That's it. That's all we can do.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would have been great to get that shutout, but yeah, and it was close to a perfect night. No injuries. The Galaxy win. They go through. Now they go ahead and face Tigres. Ananda, oh, I know that guy, says 4 goals scored. The young guy's impressed. Aude made his case to be the starting left back again. Ramirez scored his first of the season. Through to the next round. Yeah, it's.
I mean, you didn't. Other than a clean sheet, you don't ask for anything else, right? And it's funny, we haven't even talked about the goalkeeping at all, Robert. But I don't think McCarthy was tested really in this game.
Wasn't really.
So, but it'll be interesting now to see. I'm curious to see how these next league games are going to go. We'll talk about it a little bit in the Portland preview, right? Who starts in goal.
Chismoso.
But yeah, but other than that, we'll get to it in a second. But with our mini match preview here, but perfect night for the G's for sure. And the first one of the year, Rob. First one of the year of these fine, lovely team photos that I remember Judge Sophie does not like.
No, man, but it's hilarious because you see Marco Royce just pulling on his hair, dude.
Oh, yeah.
No, this is a happiness. No, I mean, but that's how it starts, right? I mean, those good feelings and those good memories. I mean, like, success breeds more success, right? You want those feelings, right? So as these partnerships on the field develop, the partnerships behind the scenes have to develop as well, and that's only going to happen when you have these happy moments, right? But we have 4 candidates for defending the badge. Obviously, we've spoken about these young guns. We haven't really spoken as much about Julian Aude, but he's one of your candidates, and Gabriel Peck is your other. Harbor Miller had an assist, 2 chances created, 1 shot on goal, 4 recoveries, and 2 goals won. Gabriel Peck had the 3rd goal, completed the most dribbles in the match, 13 passes into the final third, an interception, 3 recoveries, and 5 goals won. Isaiah Parente, 2 assists on the night, 3 chances created, won the most duels in the match with 16 passes into the final third and 6 recoveries, and Julian Aude, who had the game's first goal and did his best to pump up the crowd afterwards. 16 passes into the final third, 3 interceptions, 5 recoveries, 8 duels won. Nanda, since I went first last time, go ahead and hit us.
Cool. Just remember, chat, that he's getting the prediction first. No, you know what? For me, man, it's a guy that we haven't talked about too much, but I thought had the most important goal of the game. I just mentioned it a second ago, and that's Julian Aude. I really think this guy is knocking on the door to get that starting left back spot, Robert. And for the great work that John Nelson did last year, and man, he's a really solid player too. I think Julian's, and this is what I was hoping would happen, and that he would have sort of a bounce back season. Number one, though, for him is just stay fit and healthy. And I think, like I said, Greg's been doing a really good job across the team, but especially in this position of load management, right? So I'm going to have to give Greg credit on that one. But if he stays fit, man, he's got a lot of attributes that right now we don't have. And we can unlock that left side a little bit more. I remember that stat last year. about 44% of our attacks came from that right-hand side through Gabriel Peck. So can we use Julian Audi in a different capacity to unlock that left side a little bit, to keep opposing defenses guessing, right? And to sort of throw that into the opposition's game plan. So for me, Julian Audi, man, he's been progressing really well, slowly and steadily this year. And I'd like to see him to get to that form where we remember when we first saw him, Rob, he was breaking into the team. He was one of our best players, right, at that left back spot. Just provides a really interesting attacking option. And yeah, he gets my defending the badge for me on this one. Great performance.
Maybe Ann says, I think Joska out has given Audi a chance since he goes up so much, and not sure if he will get those chances when Joska comes back. I was actually just thinking about that, maybe, Ann, and how if this partnership starts to develop well between Julian Audi and Joseph Paint, so you'll have a very technically skilled and very fast left side of the pitch, because obviously you have Gabriel Peck on the right. So
well, Rob, this begs the question now: do you put Joseph Paintsil on the right-hand side, which is his natural position, and do you switch Gabby over to the left? So these are the combinations now that you can think about and play with, right? And these are, again, this is probably the tweaks in the evolution of this team that I think, Greg, once we have a healthy and fit squad, I think that's something to think about. I mean, because you got a target man now like Christian Ramirez. That's a good header of the ball, right? So I don't know, man. This is fun though. This is like, these are the headaches that we want for Greg, for sure.
Yeah, to go ahead and have to make a decision, who, and then like we said, these players to push each other and to kind of not fight over these positions, but to test each other to see who's going to get that starting job. So you're going out for your defending the badge, huh?
Yep.
No surprise, I'm going with Tucker. I think his energy was infectious. He was like I said, he was in Aguilar's grill. I mean, there was once or twice that Aguilar was able to shake him off, but most of the time he was just a pest. He was, I mean, there's a Spanish word, garrapata, right? Like just all over him. Just like, I mean, there was really not much that Aguilar was getting going from an offensive standpoint. And I think that last year we saw an indication, and this is something that you've brought up, of just how effective Tucker was at shackling a player there with the job he did on Diego Luna in that RSL game last year. And you saw what he did with Aguilar as well. Aguilar didn't have the game that he had in the first leg, where he was very influential. I mean, I even called him out in our preview to be the one to watch at Herediano, and Tucker really limited him. I mean, I was going to put out a tweet like, I want someone to hold me or be as close to me as Tucker is to Aguilar, right? Because he was just there, ever present. And again, the energy, the zeal to get into a tackle, I mean, to chase down every ball, for me is not only did he have a fine night and was involved in the second goal, but he created the most chances with 4. And so I think for me, it's got to be Tucker. But
we're both wrong.
But yeah, but we're both wrong, because Harbor Miller is your defending the badge winner. That's the second time in a row that he wins. So can he make it? Can he make it 3? Remember, guys, Ananda always says, who's going to take it off this player? And the way he's playing right now, it's going to be hard to take it off of him. It would have capped off a beautiful evening. Remember when he had it deep in the zone and he cut it back, like he faked like he was going to shoot with his right, and he cut it back to his left. And just unfortunately, Carvajal for Herediano makes the one-handed stop. I mean, I don't think Carvajal knows too much about it. I think he just throws up a hand and he gets lucky, or else, we're talking about a 5-1 and a Harbor Miller goal and an assist performance here. But can the Galaxy keep it going here? Right? I mean, they advanced. They had a great performance, 4-1, but can they build off this now? I questioned, with the first goal, with the floodgates open. Now I'm going to question with this win, will the floodgates or more steady performances follow, will they have an opportunity this weekend to go ahead and get their first league win of the season? They've already got their first win of the season. Now they got to go get their first MLS win of the season and get 3 points and start climbing up the table. And they have an opportunity to do so against Portland away. This match marks the 39th meeting across all competitions. The Galaxy lead 15-14-9 against Portland. They have a 14-12-9 league record. In 2 meetings last year, the teams split the games. The Galaxy lost the last match 4-2, and then in the first match of the season, they won 3-2 at the Digs. And on the road against the Timbers at Providence Park, the Galaxy hold a 4-8-4 record. And the last 3 matches that they've played there, they've won 1, they've tied 1, and they've lost 1, and have a 0 goal differential, 5 goals scored, 5 against. But that turf is going to be one of those factors that people in Portland will say doesn't really have an effect. But Ananda, as we know, sometimes we play with our Saturday crew. The turf does make a difference. And so the Galaxy, like I mentioned, have only that 1 win on the season, none in the league. And to avoid having the worst start through the first 4 games in club history, they need a win against Portland, man. It's this, they need to build on that performance, and they don't need to start making even more bad history here by getting the loss here. But after 3 matches, the Galaxy has that 0-3-0 record, 0 points, -6 goal difference, and in 15th place. Portland isn't doing that much better, but they do have a win under their belt in 3 matches played, a win and 2 losses, 12th place, 3 points, 2 goals for, 6 goals against, -4 goal difference, 1 point per game, and a 1-2-0 record to start this year. They opened with a home loss against Vancouver, who Vancouver, credit to them, they also went through. They beat Sergio Ramos's Monterrey, and then Portland beat Austin 1-0 in week 2 with that David DaCosta free kick that stumped Brad Stuver. And last week they dropped an away decision to Nashville, and they really couldn't get anything going, man. But the Galaxy haven't gotten anything going either. Ananda, I know you love these rankings. Go ahead and tell us about them.
Oh, the power rankings that really don't mean anything in the first and the third week of the season. Yeah. So Galaxy 26. Yeah, like I said, I don't put very much weight on it. But if you guys we are reporting the facts here. So unfortunately, the facts are the facts. But again, this early in the season, I really don't pay that much attention to power rankings. I mean, the sample size is super small, right? This is the 4th game of the season. And things can turn on a dime, like we saw even in CCC, right? Different in competition. But if a team starts figuring things out, that can reverse the trend. That can be a watershed moment, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, well, let's look at who's available, or who could be available for this weekend. Long-term absence, of course, Ricky Puig. Joseph Paintsil's still out. We'll get a little bit more clarity on what his timetable looks like. Mauricio Cuevas, also a long-term absence. But there is good news for Galaxy fans, because Mickey Yamane will be available, and Nacimiento will be available for the first time. So we should be seeing his debut against Portland for the Galaxy, and he's somebody that I'm kind of excited about. I mean, if the YouTube videos are anything to go by, Ananda, you should be seeing a lot of trickery, a lot of jogo bonito between him and Gabriel Peck, right?
Yeah, I'm excited to see him, man. Hopefully, well, like you said, stay tuned, guys. Definitely go ahead and follow Rob's and our socials, because I'm sure we'll get some updates tomorrow during media availability.
Shout out to El Cuate, the homie Mike Gray, aka Miggy Grease. We missed you yesterday at the digs in the press box, homie. Hope to see you soon. Get that foot checked out. Anyway, so the Galaxy have some injuries. But Portland has some injuries as well, and some key injuries to people that like to score on the Galaxy. So this is actually good here for the Galaxy. Jonathan Rodriguez scored in both fixtures against the Galaxy last year. He was really good for Portland in 2024. In 33 matches, he had 16 goals and 5 assists. And Juan Mosquera is also going to be out. The right back played in 38 matches last year and had 5 assists and a goal. Experienced goalkeeper Maxime Crepeau is most likely going to be out. Of course, he conceded 4 goals in the first week there against Vancouver. And Miguel Araujo, the center back, will be out as well. He had 2 assists in 2024. But the lineup here, or the game plan really with the predicted starting lineups for Portland, is they've been playing most often this season a 3 in the back. Ananda, they've been playing either a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3 with Anthony Ortiz, Ayala, and Fori in midfield. But I think that you'll probably not see Anthony in this midfield unless I'm wrong. I mean, I think they're going to want a little bit more attacking verve, and I think they can get that through Moreno and throwing him back into this lineup. So I'd be very surprised if we don't see Moreno from the outset. One that I'm calling on to make an impact in this match for Portland as well is Felipe Mora. He's had some success against the Galaxy as well. So and then of course you have your DP for Portland, who is the Evander replacement, David DaCosta. He has one of the 2 goals for Portland this year. I mentioned that was off the free kick. It was a very nice free kick, actually. So he's one to watch. But Moreno, is just quick and going to test this back line. He scored in the first match where the Galaxy beat Portland 3-2. Last year he scored 7 goals and had 9 assists. And then, like I mentioned, Mora, I think he's going to have a big impact. He also scored in this fixture last year. So Portland has its pieces. I mean, they haven't put together a great campaign, just like the Galaxy. I mean, they have one better because they have that win. But even though they have good attacking pieces, they haven't really scored goals, only 2 on the year. So that it's one of those things about how much is, like I said, how much is that turf going to influence, but which, if we talk about which Galaxy team is going to show up, we know which Portland team is going to show up. The one that's underperforming because they have the pieces to be a little bit more dangerous, or the one that's been playing like they've been playing. Hopefully for the Galaxy, it's the one that's been playing like they've been playing, right? So it's a tough place to play in Providence Park. Their crowd gets up there. So but we're going to ask this chat a very important question, and because we're getting towards the end here, Ananda. So you guys know what it is. Let's fill in the blank now. For the Galaxy to win this match, they have to ... That is, for the Galaxy to win this match, they need to ... Now, GCam says, appreciate all the hard work, gentlemen. Rad to get a win at last.
Shout out, GCam.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was wonderful to be there. Like I said, the 9,000 that were there, the mighty 9,000 that were there, just were very loud, very passionate. Shout out to them. But chat, let us know for the Galaxy to win this match. Hopefully their first their first league win of the season. They need to ... Ananda, since I went first last time, go ahead and hit them.
You and this thing. Well, you're doing the predictions first, so I'm still going to hold you to that. I will go first.
Gotcha.
Well, I think it's just simply, man, just building off of the good things that you did in the last game, which for us that would be a different competition, right? That'd be CCC. I think it's just building off of not only the vibes but just the principles how we've played, all the little details that Greg wants in his game plan. I think it's just building off of that, because I feel like that last game could be a watershed moment, like I've been mentioning, and it could put us on a different path than it would have been if we would have gotten a bad result on top of a bad performance, right? But it was a very good performance, and it was a very convincing one. So I think more than anything, we just need to build off of that, and then everything else will flow. Obviously, it would be nice to score the first goal, but I don't know, man. I know, I don't know if you pulled out the stat, but I seem to remember that this is historically a very high scoring fixture between LA and Portland. It's always high scoring. I don't know if that's going to be the case this time, just based off of like both teams' league form. Both teams are really, really bad offensively in the stats, right? I just took a quick look at it before we jumped on. So, and then on top of that, the Galaxy are going to have to play on turf, and they have to get used to that. We only scored 1 goal in Vancouver, for example, with that turf. So, but yeah, I think the biggest thing is if we want to win this game, we just got to build on everything that was good in that Herediano match, including the confidence that was built in that match.
I am wondering what kind of lineup he's going to put out. I mean, if Marco Reus has no problem, right, and they're just kind of managing minutes, then ostensibly we might see him against Portland. Most likely we'll see him against Portland. Who knows in what capacity?
I think so. Yeah.
Mickey Yamane's on his way back. You also have Nascimento available for the first time. So,
my spidey sense, Rob, and I don't know if it's going to happen in the beginning of the game, probably later. Edwin Cedillo started every game this season. He's logged a lot of minutes. I could see Mickey subbing in for Edwin, or even starting in place of Edwin in that midfield with Harbor on the right. I could see that happening easily.
Interesting. The one that kind of has me thinking or wondering is whether you'll see Miguel Berry or Christian Ramirez or even Nascimento for that young verve, that young attacking energy, and then in that midfield, like you said, what is Greg gonna do? Is he gonna go with Marco Reus again, or is he gonna go with Tucker? Keep the young bulls together like Daniel Aguirre said, or kind of rotate this lineup again. I mean, Julian Aude had a fantastic game. Will we see John Nelson again in the starting lineup? So a lot for Greg to kind of figure out before Sunday. But these are good problems to have, right? Like which one of my players that's performing really well right now do I go with, right?
Yeah, all of a sudden we're getting our depth back, right? That's super good. But a couple of chat responses, Rob, before we get to the predictions, which you're going first. Let's not forget that. Studio says the Galaxy have to possess the ball. Raul G says they need to convert, take advantage, and make those good chances. Last night we missed at least 3 good chances. The good news is, Raul, we still scored 4, right? I just have a feeling though in that turf, the one-touch sequences, the predictability of the ball, I think that's going to go away because we're not used to playing in turf. So I think we're going to maybe create a little less clear-cut chances, but we still are going to create enough chances, I think, to win the game. Yeah. So there you go.
Well, I think. I mean, have you given me your fill in the blank yet?
Yeah, I said just build on everything positive from the last game.
That's right.
Just build, yeah.
Okay. My fill in the blank is for the Galaxy to win this match. They have to, and I'm going to kind of echo GCam's sentiment about the hot hand, but go with the lineup that just won you a very important match. This was a match that was a must win, that was a high profile match in the Champions Cup, and they got it done. So they weren't cowed by anything. So I think
no Royce then. No, I'm kidding. I think, like I said, I don't think you can play Royce and Fagundes together. I think it's one or the other, right? And then let the younger guys, the guys with a little bit more mobility, more legs, will run the channels. You surround those pieces with them, and I think that's the way to go. So if I was a betting man, I would say Marco over Diego on this one on the left wing.
Interesting. I would keep Diego, and I would keep the midfield how it was.
Just played a lot of minutes, man. Just a lot of minutes. Greg has to manage the squad, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting for sure.
Sure, but I mean, you got to remember as well that Diego, he just seems like it just seems like he's older because he's been in the league forever, but he's really only like 28 or 29, right? So he's still young buck, to be honest. He's still in the prime of his career, even though it's funny. I saw a picture of Diego the other day where he was with New England, and I think he's like 15 or 16, and Dieguito's un pollito en la foto, bro. I was like, oh, how cute. But nah, shout out to Diego, because he's always showing us some love. But thank you to him. But yeah, man, it's time to get into some betting odds and then predictions, which you're going first for. You and Dr. Raquino cooked up these betting odds. Go ahead and let us have it.
Yeah, so Portland, of course, the home team. They're at a plus 125 right now, so that's 44%. Galaxy are at a plus 190, not too bad there, 34%. That's pretty good odds actually for the road team. And again, this typically is a high scoring affair, man. So, but with the league form at least coming into this fixture, it's going to be interesting to see if the historical outputs are going to continue, or is this going to be a completely different one-off? Again, the odds are saying 44% to Portland and 34% to the Galaxy. But what is your heart feeling, Papa? What are you feeling? Are you doing head and heart pick? Are you cheating again?
I see what you did there.
Are you just gonna go with a heart pick?
I see what you did there. No, I'm going to go with a head pick for just my one pick. And I think that the Galaxy are going to build on that good performance, but it's Portland, and that turf is as much as people want to say it's not a factor, it is a factor. And they're going to be getting some more players back, so you got to build up a little bit more of those understandings again. Greg let us know that he might be testing out Mickey elsewhere, so there's not going to be like the understanding that you had against Herediano, or at least I don't think so. It'd be great if you did see that, and I'm wrong. I hope to be wrong, but because of that, I'm thinking that they'll make chances, but they'll also give up a goal, and I'm calling a tie, 1-1 or 2-2. But yeah, I think it'll be a tie.
Yeah, I am actually surprisingly with you. I know Portland aren't in a good state of form right now, but they're at home. Providence Park has always been a sort of a bogey venue, right, for the Galaxy, Rob. We've always struggled there. It is a Sunday midday game. I don't know what the temperature is going to be like, but it's going to be tough, right? And like I said, the free flowing sort of attacking sequences that we saw at the Digs, I don't think you're going to see as much of that in Providence Park, again, with all the elements combined and everything like that. And here's the other thing that we haven't talked about yet, man. Mitrovic between the sticks. This is that to me is the variable of if we win, lose, or draw this game. If we make another mistake, heads are going to go down. Like, that nervous energy is going to transmit itself onto the team, right? So I think that is a big variable on a win, lose, or draw here, in my opinion. And again, it's going to add another chapter in the goalkeeper saga, right? Which is, I know you guys are sort of, seething at sort of what that narrative could be. And look, Mitrovic has to play his way out of it, especially if Greg gives him the confidence. It seems like he is, right, from all his comments. We could be wrong about that, but he's giving Mitrovic a chance to play out of this, and he needs to take it. He needs to take it, right? So, but I'm with you. I think I'm going to call like a probably high scoring draw, maybe 2-2, maybe even 3-3, Rob.
3-3, huh? Interesting. Well, it's a tie. I call it a tie.
First points in the season, at least, breaking the duck.
Yeah, I know for sure. It'd be good to get a result. I mean, honestly, we need
a result.
It needs to start somewhere, right? G Camp says Galaxy win a tough one, 1-0. Maybe Ann says I got a close score prediction too, 6-1 Galaxy win.
I'd love that from your lips to the Lord's ears.
Then later says I'm delusional. And
ooh, that reverse racism that you've been saying, Rob. XPH, the trap game for Portland.
Is that what we're dubbing? Is that what we're officially dubbing it now? Oh man, now we're definitely.
You brought it up. Man.
Oh man, no, yeah, we're
trap game for Portland. You know what? That's not crazy actually, because I mean, they're at home, right? I mean, I know they're in a bad run of form, but I don't know. Not a bad thought. Let's put
Yeah,
let's put those vibes out there.
yeah, no, I'm definitely
Reverse
gonna.
psychology.
I'm gonna manifest in G Camp says San Raquino rega por nosotros. Yeah, for sure. Like I always say, won't he do it? So yeah, I mean that's what we're calling a couple of ties here for the Galaxy, which means they get a result, means they get a point, their first point in the league. If I mean, again, we hope to be wrong, and the Galaxy go out and build on the good performance against Herediano and pick up another win, and an important win. Kicks off their league season with their first win, if they were to get it, and kind of it's a good place to pick up a win because it's a difficult place for the Galaxy to play. So again, those building on those moments, go ahead and help this team kick on even further. But yeah, Nanda, let's go ahead and get on out of here. Stop wasting these fine people's times. But before we do you have anything else to add? Anything else to say?
I always leave the last word to chat. So maybe Ant says this is the equivalent of that 2023 away at St. Louis where we somehow drew the game. That was the Daniel Aguirre last minute winner, if you remember that one, Rob. But see, this is the thing, right? Is it going to be one of those games where we have not the greatest performance, but we eke out a point? I think it might be more of, I don't know about the result. I have a feeling this might be sort of like an SKC, right? Where we get behind, but maybe we get that attacking verb somehow and pump 2 goals like in quick succession in the span of like 5-10 minutes, and we get that point. I feel like it's the performance is going to be better than that St. Louis game. Again, there weren't very many good performances to reminisce on in 2023, unfortunately. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting game for sure, man. But we definitely need a result to steer the ship in the right direction here in the league and just build off of that. Like a loss would be panic stations again, I think, or at least one alarm bell instead of the whole alarm. The snooze button, I guess you can call it.
Yeah, well, they definitely need that result. But there's some good news for the Galaxy because you mentioned the fixture congestion earlier when you were having some mic troubles. But after this, they don't have a midweek game for a while.
Right.
So
for a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, so for a couple of weeks they don't have a midweek game, so that means they have a whole week off after this match to go ahead and get even healthier and hopefully get JP back. But yeah, that's where we're at. Gunettles, we are back with you guys on Monday, March 17th, where we'll bring you our Galaxy versus Portland reaction, and then a week from today, on Thursday, March 20th, we'll bring you a Galaxy versus Minnesota United preview for that match happening on Saturday, March 22nd. Before we get out of here, just want to say thank you to chat once again for all that you do. Thank you for the fun time from my co-host and myself. Only thing left to say is LA strong, vamos campeones, and G